Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Saturday the 14th of October 2023. We're publishing our gold and silver weekly update for the weekend in the 13th of October. Well, at last we've seen some positive movement in the precious metals market. What a shame that it took a war to achieve this. So what happened last week? Well, let's take a look. Now first, just a quick reminder, we've set up a second channel entitled Finances Do Matter, covering a whole array of financial topics. We've placed a link in the description box and comment section below for those who've not yet joined the channel. Meanwhile, going back to what happened last week and what we expect to happen this coming week, gold rose $100, rising from $1,833 to $1,933, having hit a high of $1,946 and a low of $1,832, a rise of 5.5%. In sterling terms, gold finished the week at £1,594, that's up £96, and it closed up €108 at €1,840. Silver rose $1.12, rising from $21.60 to $22.72, having hit a high of $22.83 and a low of $21.59, a rise of 5.2%. In sterling terms, it was up £1.06 at £18.74, and in euros it was up €1.21 at €21.65. The gold to silver ratio rose from 84.9 to 1 to 85.1 to 1. Now the difference between gold's high and low was $114 compared with $40 the previous week, and the difference between silver's high and low was $1.24 compared with the previous week's differences of $1.56. Now this is what we said last week concerning our forecast. We still expect to see gold continue to trade between $1,800 and $1,900 with $1,775 to $1,925 as outliers, and silver to trade between $20.50 and $22.50 with $20 to $23 as outliers. Then on Sunday, because of the Gaza-Israeli incident, we produced another video amending these figures slightly and stating we could expect to see gold past $1,925 and probably go to $1,950. And if matters deteriorate even further, we could see it aim for $2,000. In that video, we also emphasized that silver would also move into outlier territory above $22.50 and could even surpass $23, though admittedly it did struggle to quite reach 23. Maybe a different kettle of fish this coming week. Now, we did admittedly expect these moves higher earlier in the week, but they came to pass towards the end of the week, at least gradually rising, and then a big blip upwards on Friday. Looking at other financials, Bitcoin stands at $26,876. That's down $1,121 on the week. Equities were broadly up, with the Dow Jones up 263 points at 33,670, the S&P 500 up 19 at 4,327, and the Nasdaq Composite actually down 24 points at 13,407, but it did rise quite considerably compared to the other bourses last week. The FTSE index closed up 105 points on the week at 7,599. Oils were higher, dashing any hopes of moving into $70 territory for a while. Brent crude closed up $6.31 at $90.89, and WTI crude closed up $4.90 at $87.69. The dollar index was also higher at 106.64, that's up 0.6 points on the week. Now in terms of economic data last week, the two important days to watch were Wednesday and Thursday. On Wednesday we had the producer price index for September coming in at 0.5% against expectations of 0.3%. On Thursday we had the important CPI data for September, with CPI coming in at 0.4%, again compared with expectations of 0.3%. Which compares then with the August figures of 0.6. So although they were lower, they were higher than what the market had expected. This was highly disappointing, and the markets reacted accordingly. Core CPI came in as expected at 0.3%. So what this means year over year is that CPI stands at 3.7 and core CPI stands at 4.1%. Still twice the amount the Fed wishes to see at the end of its program. Now, this coming week, we have some important data and announcements. On Tuesday, we have US retail sales for September, expected to come in at a positive 0.2%, and if we deduct automobiles, 0.3%. On Thursday, we have the jobless claims figures, plus a number of Fed officials, presidents, and governors expressing their views, and that moves into Friday as well. Let's talk a little more about gold and silver. We revised our gold and silver predictions last weekend on Sunday because of the situation with Israel. Admittedly, although both precious metals were higher on Monday, prices gradually rose during the week rather than witnessing an early spike. For gold, which has seen its prices climb from the mid-1800s to the mid-1900s, the psychological barrier of $2,000 is within sight. If the geopolitical situation deteriorates further, a rally towards this level appears increasingly plausible. According to James Hyszczyk of FX Empire, quote, "Beyond geopolitics, US economic indicators are proving favorable for gold. The September Consumer Price Index was a head-turner, coming in hotter than expected at a 0.4% month-over-month increase and a 3.7% annual increase. This exceeds the forecast figures, which were already high at 0.3% and 3.6% respectively. Producer price index numbers also surpassed expectations earlier in the week. While market watchers initially speculated that the Federal Reserve would respond with a rate hike in their upcoming November meeting, those expectations have since tempered, contributing to gold's upward trajectory." Unquote. Now, whilst this conflict continues, we can undoubtedly expect higher prices, but when it is over, expect a significant slump, so be careful. Silver has also rallied, though a little less than gold. Silver is highly sensitive to the US dollar and interest rates, but it also can be thought of as a precious metal at times. Furthermore, the market has to pay attention to the industrial demand part of the equation as well. That said, we expect for silver to closely correlate with gold while hostilities continue. So, what is our prediction for this coming week? Well, there's still the prospect of a further rise in precious metals next week, while these hostilities continue and perhaps worsen. So, with the caveat that that happens, we expect gold broadly to trade between $1,900 and $2,000, with $1,850 and $2,025 as outliers. If, of course, the hostilities strengthen to such an extreme, there is some major event, then we could see gold go to $2,050. Though we're not envisaging that at the moment. Silver we expect to trade between $22.25 and $23.75, with $22 to $24.50 as outliers, but once again, should a major event occur, then $25 is perhaps where we would see the ultimate ceiling. What do you think? Please share your thoughts. Meanwhile, we'd appreciate it if you give us a thumbs up, subscribe and press the bell sign. And as always, we wish you a safe, enjoyable weekend and a prosperous week ahead.